Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. This week, we have band leader, co-founder, bass guitarist, 7-time Grammy Award winning, member of the Songwriters Hall of Fame, Robert Kool Bell of Kool the Gang. Welcome, Robert. For stopping by. I mean, like I said, 50 years in the game, you're a legend. So many accolades that I'm not sure if we can cover them all in this interview, but trust me, they're recognized.
Thank you.
All right, so first off, I wanted to give a rest in peace to Ronald Bell, captain, who we lost earlier this year. Share a story about your brother, whether it's from childhood or touring or, just being in the studio, whatever you'd like to share.
Well, losing Khalid, my brother, definitely was one wasn't expected at the time that it happened. And he was in St. Thomas, his studio there, just writing a lot of music. Matter of fact, the most recent song that he wrote before he passed is called Pursuit of Happiness, World Peace, along with Walter Anderson, who's been in the group for about 7 years, and also Belay. But my brother, going back during the day, he was known for a lot of the horn parts, jungle boogie, funky stuff, open sesame. It goes on and on in terms of what he did. And also the song Celebration. He came up with the song Celebration because it was after Ladies' Night. Mm-hmm. And we were celebrating the fact that we won 2 American Music Awards. And the tag on Ladies' Night, this is your night tonight. Come on, let's all celebrate.
Right.
And brother said, hey, that's a song within a song. So we got back to Jersey. He played this track. It had that, that down home feeling, like down in Birmingham, Alabama or something. And grandma sitting on the porch, drinking some Kool-Aid or some lemonade. And it had that feel to it. And then the Yahoo thing came in. Yeah, that'll work. And that's how we came up with Celebration. So he did many things. We called him the captain. He arranged a lot of the horn arrangements for our shows, our live shows. And he's gonna be missed, man. It's a rough time, but we're moving on. He would want us to move on. And that's what we're doing.
All right. Thank you for the story. And you mentioned early on that you have a new single out called Pursuit of Happiness. Just talk about the single and the message in it, because it seemed like it was speaking about how we need to make the world a better place and how we're missing true leadership.
Well, when he came out with the title Pursuit of Happiness, when Biden was nominated, they played Celebration. Mm-hmm. And when Biden won, they played Celebration. It was one of the most played songs in the world at that particular time. Right. In the song itself, when Biden was making his speech for his nomination, he spoke about the pursuit of happiness. And he spoke about perfect union. And in the song, my brother speaks about Pursuit of Happiness. The name of the album is called Perfect Union, coming out. So that was, he had some insight and foresight, I guess, to that song. I like the title, which we call it World Peace, because it was Pursuit of Happiness, World Peace. And especially today, we need world peace. Trump was saying, let's make America great again. And my cousin and I, we said, let's make the world cool again. Mm-hmm. Whatever happened to the world back in the days of Adam and Eve? What happened to creation? It's time for us to come together. Now, COVID-19 and the pandemic is waking us up. Look how many people died around the world, man.
Right.
All this talk about Iran and Israel and all that other stuff, they can't touch COVID-19. It's taking us out of here, man. So it's very important to where we was coming from.
Right. So, Perfect Union, your first album since 2013, 25th overall. Is there a firm release date set?
Now, yeah, but you got the numbers, man. You a gang head.
I'm trying. I'm trying. You know, I gotta respect my legends. We gotta take care of you. You know.
Yeah, well, it's coming out next month.
Okay.
Yeah, next month. The single, you know, is out now. You can download it and the video on YouTube, but it'll be coming out next month.
All right. And what should we expect overall?
Well, you know, hopefully it'll be a little bit more pursuit of happiness, and maybe Biden will pick it up as his theme song. You know, he's already got celebration. Why not? World peace and pursuit of happiness. You know,
Right.
well, you know, we're looking forward to it because it's been, you know, a while since we had an album out.
Mhm.
And, you know, I always have a saying about the year. I thought 2020 was going to be a great year, but turned out to be not so good. But 2021, let's have some fun.
Right.
Celebrate. Good times. Come on. And don't forget to have a nice cold glass of the Kool Champagne.
Well, tell me about Kool Champagne. I know you've always been you know, very entrepreneurial and had your hands in many cookie jars, and now you're stepping into the champagne business. So how did that get started?
It started a couple of years ago. I was on tour in Europe, and the promoter came to me and said, listen, we're doing a champagne on the Lake Barry White and also on the Bee Gees. And how would you like to have your champagne on this tour in France? So I said, well, I don't think my fans would want to have buy a bottle of champagne at a concert. They want T-shirts, caps, pictures. I said, but I want to be on the shelves. I want to be in retail. And so I came up with a concept and a name called Kool Champagne. Our partners are from Champagne country, Rims. And I wanted to really start in Europe first. And I wanted to break in Europe and then come to America, you know,
Mhm.
like Eddie Murphy coming to America.
Right.
Here comes the Kool Champagne. But that's what we really wanted to do. And that's what we plan on doing now. Hopefully next year in 2021, we'll be able to keep moving with the Kool Champagne.
And is it only available in stores or is it online where people can purchase it as well?
It's online, but it's in 4 states, New York, New Jersey, Georgia, and California. But LeCoolChampagne.com, LeCoolChampagne.com, you can get it online as well.
Okay. We'll definitely be on the lookout for Kool Champagne in stores and online. So let's rewind all the way back to the beginning. When Kool the Gang was formed back in 1964 in Jersey City, New Jersey. Could you just talk about how you all got together and, you know, just finding the pieces, making sure everyone sort of connected properly?
Well, I mean, in 1964, you know, my brother and I, we were born in Youngstown, Ohio. We came to Jersey around 1961, 60. And we met the other members, GT, George Brown, Charles Smith. And our first love was jazz. My brother was in love with John Coltrane. I listened to Ron Carter, Reggie Workman of the Jazz Crusaders. DT was into Cannonball Adderley, you know, and so it started back as playing a love for jazz. And then we got involved with an organization called the Soul Town Review.
Mhm.
And we became the Soul Town Band. So we had to learn all these Motown songs, okay, at that time, because it was Motown Review, Soultown Review, Soultown Band. So we would learn these songs and we play behind these groups maybe once or twice a month. And then we moved on, and a promoter from the Soultown Review had this idea in a club in Newark, and it was he came up with "Kool in the Flames." And he asked, "So how do you like that?" I said, "That's cool. Yeah, like a big ice cube and flames and melting the ice cube and that sort of a thing." But then when we met with Gene Red, I became my first manager and producer. His father was working with James Brown. So he said, "Well, you know what? We can't use Kool in the Flames because you had James Brown and the Famous Flames.
Mhm.
Well, we don't want to have any problems with the Godfather."
Right.
So he said, "Well, the music is jazz, funk, R&B. What just call yourself Kool in the Gang?" I said, "Okay, that's not bad." We came out with the first record in 1969, Kool in the Gang, and it went top 40. And that's when it all started, Kool in the Gang. We're celebrating over 50 years right now because it came out in 1969.
Okay. So how did you get the name Kool?
Kool was a nickname that it became my middle name.
Uh-huh.
When I moved to Jersey City, surrounded by Newark and New York, everybody had a nickname. And at another time, we'll tell the story because it's coming out in our vignettes. But the first name I had was Tomango. That's another story we'll talk about later.
Uh-huh.
We have a cartoon vignettes coming out on that. But I decided there was another guy in the neighborhood. He called himself Kool, spelled it with a C. So I said, I like that name. So I took the name and spelled it with a K. Not knowing that one day it was going to be a Kool in the Gang. That's how it started.
Great.
That's how the story goes.
So the first album, self-titled, Kool in the Gang, came out in 1970. Like, what growing pains did the group experience, and when did you feel like the group finally hit its stride?
Well, I mean, the first record did okay. And then we had songs like Funky Man, Funky Granny, Good Times. We did an album called Live at the Sex Machine. And then the record company came to us around 1973, 74. And they said, "Listen, you guys been having some territorial hits like Connecticut, DC, Philadelphia. But they said, I think you need a producer." So we said, "Well, okay, what do you have in mind?" Soul Makusa by Demango.
Mono de Bango.
Bango. You got it, LeTroy. Anyway, so we met with this guy and we weren't feeling him. So one day we went to a studio downtown New York called Baggies. And we went in there about 8 o'clock in the morning. And we jammed and we jammed. By 12 o'clock, we had created funky stuff, Hollywood swinging, and jungle boogie.
Okay. That's a nice trio right there of hits.
Yeah, no more problems with the record company. And then after that came Summer Madness. The big record for. Oh,
I have it right here. Light of Worlds.
And then it was in the Rocky movie with Sylvester Stallone. And of course, Philly brother, Will Smith, changed it up to Summertime. #1 record, won a Grammy.
Mhm. I was definitely going to touch on that later, especially the sampling. I was going to touch on that later.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, came Open Sesame,
Mm-hmm.
Another movie. And at that time, we didn't know that was going to be the type of album it became. But the Bee Gees again, and John Travolta. That record sold over, 20 million.
40 million worldwide.
Yeah. Till Michael Jackson came along with Thriller.
Yeah.
he knocked us out of the box, but yeah. And then of course, and went on. We finally decided we needed to get a lead singer who was out on tour with the Jackson Five.
Uh-huh.
A guy by the name of Dick Griffey. Yeah, sold our records. And he came to us. He said, "Man, you guys are doing all right on the tour." He said, "But I think you need a lead singer."
Mhm.
Lead singer. We thought about it. Said, "Well, maybe it's time to make a change." Earth, Wind and Fire had Philip Bailey and Maurice White. Commodores had Lionel Richie. So well, maybe it's time for us to make a change. And that's when we met James J.T. Taylor. He was
South Carolina's own, my home state.
He was from Greenville, I think. Wait, we met. He was in Hackensack. He had grew up in Hackensack.
Okay.
That's when we added, JT to the band, and we came up with the song, "The Ladies' Night." And my wife and I were hanging out in New York, and we said, "Well, at Regime's Studio 54, and then every weekend it was a ladies' night." We said, I went back to my brother and to the guys in the band. I said, "You know what? I got a great idea for a song." They said, "What?" "Ladies' Night." And also, I came up with "Hanging Out."
Mm-hmm.
I was hanging out. And that song, when JT recorded that song, that became a huge record. Frankie Crocker, I don't know if you know that name. Remember, Frankie Crocker broke that record?
DJ, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that, from Ladies' Night came Celebration, Cherish, Get Down on It, Misled, Night. We just dominated the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Too Hot.
Too Hot.
Joanna, Cherish. Fresh. Hit after hit.
Yeah. So that was part of the history, man.
I know. So I have a question, especially about bringing in JT. So was it met unanimously with positivity amongst the members, or was it because with Rolls Royce, I watched their Unsung from like 8 to 10 years ago, and when Gwen Dickey joined the group, there was some animosity between her and the other band members, the original band members, because she was sort of stealing the spotlight. Was there any tension as far as JT and the band members in Kool the Gang?
No, because this was the first time we decided to get a lead singer.
Right.
And we didn't audition no one except for JT, because he happened to be working with a band, and the studio that we were working out of called the House of Music back in West Orange, New Jersey, and Yamir Diadala was recording there, and we said, "Okay, let's give him a shot." So my brother, he said, "Okay." He started playing some chord changes, and JT singing a little bit to that. Then he played some jazz progressions, and JT fell into that. He said, "Well, you got the job."
Okay.
Now, because we hadn't had no lead singer, so it wasn't a problem at that time. And then, we went on to have, the success that we had after that.
And do you think it speaks to your versatility as a band, how you started out sort of like jazz and then went into funk and then disco, and then once JT joined the group, kind of went, had more ballads and went mainstream pop. Was that intentional, or was the label forcing it on you?
No, it was Kool the Gang, man. These things just started happening, because we were experimenting to some degree with a lead singer. We never had a lead singer before.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we were playing all different types of music, from jazz to funk, to the type of stuff that we were doing in the 70s. So he fell right in, when we started writing more songs, like, Joanna or Too Hot and some of the other songs that we have. Yeah.
Okay. So like we said, Celebration is celebrating its 40th anniversary. Speak on just the significance of the song, like even when it was recorded 40 years ago, and how it's impossible to have a playlist celebrating anything of significance without having Kool and the Gang Celebration on it.
Hey, man, that's a blessing, man, because like I said, it came after Ladies' Night.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know that Celebration was going to become such a big record, especially after Ladies' Night. And then Celebration, man, I mean, like you said, I mean, for so many different things, if it's a Super Bowl or a World Series or a birthday party, or what have you, everyone was celebrating. When the hostages came back from Iran, it was a celebration. They even played Celebration in the space station, man. The astronauts got up. So, I mean, that's like a record that you can't compete. We tried to come up with another one. It didn't work. Celebration stands alone by itself after the 40 years. We had other records after that, but not another Celebration.
Right. And that's something like just immersing myself into your catalog, which I tend to do from time to time, whether it's directly from you or some of the artists that have sampled you, how your music has the ability to be like a timestamp. So Celebration, you know, it's going to be for a special occasion, like you said, a wedding, birthday, like troops coming home. Ladies' Night, either your version or Little Kim's version, is a time for women to just go out and, you know, have a good time. Who else can I think of? Summertime, Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Oh, yeah.
You know, automatically, Memorial Day and 4th of July cookouts or any other going to the beach, you're gonna play Summertime. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's intentional, but it's masterful.
Well, you know, we thank Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith, you know, for making that happen. They were from Philly, so, and we spent a lot of time in Philadelphia. We spoke about, you know, the summers in Philly and etc. But he turned around and he went platinum,
Right.
and he won a Grammy. We hadn't even won a Grammy with some of the madness, but we did win a Grammy with the Bee Gees.
Uh-huh.
And Casey and the Sunshine Band. We had Saturday Night Fever. But yeah, that was such a big record.
Right.
There was a lot of other groups who sampled our music, you know, a lot of the other ones back in the day. You know.
Oh, trust me. According to my sources, over 1,700 samples. 1,700.
We should have had you on Sample Patrol, man. Right.
Hire me. Hire me. I'll work.
Wow, you know, I didn't realize it was that many.
So, like, for those that's unfamiliar with the process, could you explain the process of getting a sample cleared?
Well, you know, before they passed the law in Washington, there was no sample clearance. You know, everybody was all over the place sampling our music. And then now I was told that at the time that President-elect Biden was the one who moved in Washington to have sample control. You cannot sample a record unless you got the okay from the record company. So if that's a fact, I take my hat off to our president-elect pretty soon to be the president. So, I mean, you know, people take a little guitar part, or they might take our drums from the song NT has been sampled so much. And Kid Capri did something on us about a couple of weeks ago. And he was talking about the drum beat. You know, I got Questlove. He went, so how many groups had sampled just George Brown's drum beats on so many songs? Yeah.
Well, some of the notable songs that have sampled your work, like we said, Summertime by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Snoop Dogg's Doggy Dog World, Nas's New York State of Mind, Little Kim's Ladies Night, A Tribe Called Quest Scenarios Remix, Joe Budden's Pump It Up, the Loonies, I Got Five on It, the Fugees, Nappy Heads, EPMD's You Got to Chill, Mace's Feel So Good, D'Angelo's Send It On. Like,
Yeah.
like you see the talent that you have inspired.
Yeah, man. I've been told the little parts of Madonna. The guitar lick on one of her songs. Janet Jackson, one of her songs. It's amazing, man.
So how did you feel about that? Like initially, obviously, for financial gain, I'm sure that mailbox continues to fill up with checks. But how does it feel like seeing your baby basically experience puberty as far as going through a maturation?
We felt very good about the birth.
Uh-huh.
Because in the 70s, we didn't have any lead singers. It was all about the music and the beats and the drum. And the fact that a lot of the artists, like especially from the hip hop world, that's what they like. In fact, there was no singing on it. Oh, yeah, that bass part sounds great. Let me grab that. Let me grab the drums. Let me grab the guitar. Let me grab the key. Because there wasn't no singers. Even the Last Poets on their Hustlers Convention album, it was 4 of our tracks that they sampled. Now, the Last Poets was like the beginning of rappers. Started pretty much with the whole thing with the Last Poets. Then came all these, and a lot of the guys in the hip hop world, give respect to the Last Poets. But we played on that whole Hustle Convention soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know that this type of explosion is going to happen in the 80s in terms of sampling and stuff like that. But it's a blessing. We were just about the music. We were just doing what we love to do.
And then you've also recorded albums like Gangland and Hits Reloaded, featuring some of the hip hop artists. How was that experience, not only for you, but for a lot of these artists to get in the studio with you and the band members?
Yeah, but Gangland, my brother, may the peace and blessings of Allah be with him. He came up with that concept about the album Gangland. And because of our music and a lot of rappers who were listening, giving us respect, with the sampling. But Hits Reloaded came out of London, and a guy by the name of Alan Bellman, and we came up with that album. And we had so many different artists from Europe that did cover our songs, like Jamiroquai, Hollywood. There was so many. Lauryn Hill was on there with Yusuf and Dor. It was a lot of various artists that covered our music on that Hits Reloaded.
Just speak on the legacy of the band. Like you said, coming from Ohio to Jersey, and now 50 years later, legends, hits that will be played long after we're here. Just speak on that legacy.
Well, again, Troy, like I said, it's a blessing. We come out of the '60s and the jazz and backing up local talent in Jersey City, and moving into the '70s and to the '80s. Every 10 years it was like a change. And going to the '70s, we had our various hits in the '70s, and then in the '80s we had all the big hits we had in the '80s. And then going to the '90s to 2000, et cetera, we have been successful. I mean, I have been times when people would come to me, I guess, before ladies' night, are you guys still together? I said, yeah. We just work a lot. So, a lot of times, it seems like every 10 years, not that people will write us off, they said, what are they going to do now? The '70s, '80s. Now, unfortunately, JT left in the '80s. And again, what are they going to do now? So we moved on, and we started playing a lot of places in Europe. We went behind curtain. We played in Potsdam. We played in Bulgaria. We played in Romania. We played all through the Asia and Japan and Taiwan and Bangkok, and we just continued to build a name around the world. And so we survived that. And then what are they going to do now? Then we're playing at the Glastonbury Music Festival, right? And David Lee Roth is looking at the show. They had Coldplay and a lot of rock groups who was on that show. And he calls up Eddie and Alex. He said, I got the opening act for our tour. He said, who? He said, Kool the Gang. He said, David, what you been smoking, man? He said, wait a minute. He said, they just rock a rock festival. If you guys remember back in the day, they used to play Hollywood Swinging and Jungle Boogie when they had their band back in LA. And he came to me and he said, hey, when we did our first rehearsal with them, we did 48 shows with them. And the first thing he said, listen, he said, 60% of my audience are ladies. So I didn't know too much about them at the time. I said, oh, yeah. He said that you guys had Celebration, we had Jump in the 80s. I said, okay. So he said, now, let's go out and have a party. And that's what we did for 48 shows. Okay. Kid Rock saw us, oh man, gee, I gotta get doing that. So we did 10 shows with Kid Rock. We worked with Dire Straits. We worked with Meatloaf. You know, all that, these rock acts we were playing for around the world. This is all after JT left. So that was a blessing, and is a blessing. And here we are still today, hopefully, you know, with Pursuit of Happiness going into 2021, you know, with the new album coming out and coming out of this pandemic, and everybody, we're looking to celebrate something. So here we are again. Another test.
Yep. Again, Pursuit of Happiness in stores soon, early 2021. The 25th album by Kool the Gang.
Okay, you got the numbers because I didn't count. 25, huh?
I'm gonna keep you on point. I got you. So just talk about the experience of working with your son, DJ Prince Hakeem, on the single Royalty.
Yeah, well, he was inspired to write that song, him and Walt, after his mother died. My wife, Sakina, she died almost 2.5 years ago, passed on, made her transition. And the song was about her and also about women in general. He said that, you know, his thing with women are royalty. They support us. We wrote a song called Ladies Night, but then he came back with royalty. So he was always one to come to me and said, Dad, you should be doing this, or you should be doing that. He was out on the road with us, with Van Halen, for those 48 shows. And he would do his rap thing there. And he was always, listen, you know, you old school, you know, and I'm new school, but he would always tell me, hey, Dad, you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. So he was always an inspiration. And, you know, the new millennials, they know what they want. And we're the baby boomers, so we work together. So it's been great.
Awesome. So like you were mentioning during Royalty, talking about your wife, Sakina, just speak on her legacy and all of the business ventures that you have on the horizon to honor her.
Well, I mean, she definitely, you know, the Kool Kids Foundation was something that she came up with, and I'm supporting that going into 2021. You know, her thing was about music back in the schools. Mm-hmm. And, also, these kids getting education, and also we didn't have music in the schools. We did a tour that I came up with along with my partner, and it was called "It's Cool to Stay in School." Now, it was 48 shows again, supported by Coca-Cola. And one of the criteria was that you had good attendance, doing well in school, and we would do a meet and greet. And one of the groups that came up at the time, they said, "Hey, we're doing well in school, but we like to sing a couple songs for you and a cappella." I said, "Okay." So they started singing, and my cousin said, "Wait a minute, those guys are good." So he sent them to New York. That group became Color Me Bad. You know, I Want to Sex You Up.
Yep, they sampled you too.
Yeah, yeah. And then along with Wesley Snipes in the movie as Cassandra Mills. You know, so all that came from, what what she wanted to do with kids, school, all that kind of came together, and fashion. Most of all our clothes in the 70s and the 80s, she made 90% of those clothes.
Hmm.
So, and then she definitely was behind me and beat me up all the time. You gotta watch who you're dealing with. The woman behind you, she would tell you, "I don't like that guy. Strange about that guy." Sometimes we listen, sometimes we're hard headed. We don't listen, but that's what Sakina was about. Constantly pushing her children like Hakeem, my son Muhammad. So that was all very important.
Okay. Well, rest in peace to Miss Sakina as well. Um, so before I let you go, feel free to plug whatever you need to plug. Obviously, we have the single "Pursuit of Happiness" available now, and we have "Perfect Union," the album, coming soon, and obviously Kool Champagne. But the floor is open. Feel free to plug whatever you need to, and also leave us with some words of positivity.
Well, I always thank my fans for supporting Kool the Gang for so many years through the ups and the downs. I mean, and this business is definitely a music business, and you make mistakes sometimes. I have a saying: you live and learn, and then you learn to live. Like love the life you live. Yeah. So you try not to make as many mistakes as you get older. Now, going back, a couple other things. My good friend Dusty Baker, if you know who he is, also the coach of the Houston Nationals, was the coach of Washington Nationals. He and I are partners. We call it Kool Baker Energy. We're doing solar energy projects in Africa for next year.
Mhm.
All power concerts, where the concert is powered by the grids from the sun, from the solar energy versus those old generators, gas, smells, and everything else. That's another project we're doing next year. Of course, everything has been slowed up because of the pandemic, but come out of it, that's something else that I'm doing with Dusty Baker. But as a plug, again, I have to go back to Pursuit of Happiness, World Peace. And one day, God willing, we will have world peace. That's my plug. I like to see that
Mhm.
at some point in our lives that we have world peace. But I have to say that what's going on right now with COVID-19, we're submitting because we can't do nothing about that. It's all in the hands of God. There it is.
Mhm. Well, Robert Kool Bell, um, thank you. Thank you for thank you for your time today. Thank you for the endless contributions to the culture, to allowing us to celebrate, allowing us to just sit and cool out to some summer madness or some sea of tranquility or cherishing the love we have. Um, or for the ladies having their night out without the fellas around bothering them. Thank you for your creations and like I said, it will live forever. Blessings to you and your family. Stay safe. And hopefully on the other side of this pandemic, we can get some Kool the Gang shows, and I can stop by and watch you do what you do best.
And you can have a nice cold glass of the Kool Champagne.
Nothing wrong with that. I wish I could have some, to celebrate finally leaving 2020, but we'll get.
That happen. Hakeem is working with me on that. Maybe we can get you a bottle out there. What city you?
Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And thanks you for having the knowledge of Kool the Gang.
Of course. I mean,
better than I do.
Never that. But I mean, I can't, like I said, I have to, at least show my respect and make sure that I represent you properly and everyone else that I have on the show. So that's just my duty.
Thank you.
All right. So for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm LeTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for checking us out on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe for more great content. And don't forget to check out our website at govradionetwork.com.